Da, da, da. This is my favorite startup music that we do. It reminds me of like a jolly little walk down the street. You know, you could do this. You're skipping, having the best day of your life. And I hope you're having the best Sunday of your life, because we're going to be talking about the real estate market and why the heck is the house prices still going up. I mean, we've heard nonstop in all the newspaper headlines, like the real estate market is crumbling. You know, it's and even I'll even admit, I thought for sure by now that we would see a stagnation in median home prices. And once again, the median price goes up from 407 to like 426,000. Little FYI, if you're buying a house this year, I got an email from somebody, and this is just a warning. If you bought a house in the last like few months, if you have not changed your locks, please change the locks on your house. Please change the locks on your house. Whether that house has been sitting vacant for 3 months and nobody came into it, whatever, it does not matter. As soon as you buy a house, change the locks on the house. These people moved into their house. They purchased the house. They were really tired. They were still staying in the hotel room. They moved all their stuff in. They locked everything up tight as a drum, and they didn't change out the locks. Whoever had a key, whoever it was, had a key, just walked right in and just started grabbing random things in the house that they could tuck under their arms and walked out with their stuff. One thing being a laptop that they left on the countertop. Who knows who it was? They had a face mask on and everything. And it just so happened that the camera system was still working on the house. So you could see that it was somebody. It wasn't the sellers, but it was somebody that had a key. So if you are buying a house, I'm going to say this one more time. If you're buying a house, first thing you do, change the freaking locks. Change the freaking locks right away. Well, since we're talking about home prices in the news a lot recently, California has been talking. There's been a lot of headlines about California and their home prices, as well as Phoenix, Arizona. We've already had somebody from Phoenix, Arizona. And we've had somebody from Austin. So now we're going to be talking about California. Many of you people already know them because if you watch my channel, you probably watch his channel as well. Mr. Jeb Smith, welcome.
Yo.
Welcome to the Kristina Smallhorn Real Estate Show.
What a welcome. Thank you. Awesome. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody like break into a house as soon as they purchased it?
No, not that I know of. But you did remind me that I had some buyers just close. In fact, they're coming into town today to grab the keys. And now with all the home warranties and stuff that's out there, they actually get a free rekey. I don't know if you guys do that in your market, but they do it here in California. So they just have to reach out to the home warranty company. They rekey it for free, and you're on. So
who's your home warranty company?
I use First American more than any others. Just because I have a relationship, and this is important for anybody listening. Mm-hmm. Home warranty companies are an insurance company, right? And so they are many times going to try to get out of paying claims because that's what they do. It's good to go back to your agent who helped you sell the house, because a lot of times we have relationships with those agents, and we can get things done even after they say they won't do them. So just a little food for thought.
Yeah, we have a guy that we call the guy. Everybody's got a guy. Every real estate agent's got a guy.
I got a guy.
I got a guy for that. There's actually a website that here in Baton Rouge that says I got a guy for that, and it's all the vendors that real estate agents recommend.
Genius.
I know. It's a real estate agent set that up, but I use Old Republic, but it's because of the guy who runs it. Like if there's a problem, his name's Webb. I can call Webb up and say, hey, Webb, I got this issue. They won't cover it. And sure enough, instantaneously it's covered.
That's what it's about.
But my parents had Old Republic, and they have had fantastic experience in Florida. They moved here, and of course they did it here in Louisiana. So home warranty companies. But again, buy a brand new house, rekey your house instantaneously. Absolutely. There's not even a thing to worry about. So in the headlines and in some YouTube videos from other YouTube creators, I've seen that California prices supposedly are dropping like rocks. Like y'all are in a crash, according to some people. Is that the case? You're a real estate agent. You sell real estate. Is that what's going on, or is it a stagnant market?
It's a stagnant market with home prices still moving up in some areas. It's kind of weird, right? I mean, because you do see the headlines, you do read articles. I mean, I'm out there in the market, right? And helping buyers and sellers. I mean, I have listings that we've reduced the price, right? But what people I think forget is that price reductions have always been a piece of the market, right? So prior to the pandemic, when we had a quote unquote normal market, price reductions, price improvements, price drops, whatever you want to call them, were just a normal piece of the market. We even had price drops during the pandemic. Now, nobody really remembers those because they remember all the other craziness going on. But yeah, we're getting some price reductions. There's no crashes. I haven't seen any deals on properties. Personally, one of the things that I've mentioned many times, Kristina, is people saying, there's deals everywhere. I'm like, hey, look, send them to me. I'm happy to have that conversation and to put it out there. If you can show me a property that's sold significantly less than what it's worth, let's look at it. Like I'm okay admitting I'm wrong. I've been wrong on many things, but no, at the moment, no crashes, just a normal market. Things are, I've had the last 2 offers that I've put in have we've missed out on. Both were above the asking price. We didn't get either of them just because it was a multiple offer situation. So
we had a Zillow house here in our area that was the Zillow bought it for $400,000. The house really shouldn't have been sold for no more than $320,000. It recently they had to resell it, because their business plan they sold it for $324,000. They're like, oh, they took a major hit. Well, yeah, they took a hit. But the market would have never accepted it at $400,000 in the first place.
Yeah, and that's tough. And it's hard to like gauge those. Like we don't really have that. Zillow wasn't buying because our price point's so high, right? So but Zillow wasn't really a buyer in the $1 million price point with a lot of these properties. Yeah, they bought some of them, but they weren't the primary. This wasn't their market. So we have less of that sort of thing going on. I mean, most of the sales here are resales of existing construction. So somebody, an actual person to own the property.
Isn't it better for a home buyer to purchase in California a home that's already existing over a new construction because of the taxes?
Yes and no. Here's the thing with a new construction property, the state of California has I don't know what you actually call it, but there's like a 10-year builder warranty on that property. So, and that might be nationwide. I just know in California we have it here. And so for 10 years, essentially anything breaks on that house, the builder is responsible for doing that. It's existing construction, you're not going to have that type of warranty. But with the tax situation, what happens with new construction, and this isn't all new construction, but a large percentage of it is if they're building new construction in, say, a newly developed community that's not really more on the outskirts of town, if you will, they have to build infrastructure around that, right? So they have to build streets, they have to build sewers, they have to build schools, gas stations, whatever, roads, everything that goes along with that. Well, what they typically end up doing is issuing bonds to cover that that infrastructure, and it comes over in taxes. So you end up paying higher property taxes on some of these new construction properties, but it's not always like a one size fits all. Every new construction property has it. It's some of the communities have it. Some of them don't. So if you can find a property for new construction fits what you want, great. But I think a lot of people forget that when you buy new construction, at least here in California, you get the house, right? The yard's not done in most cases. You go in, you have no blinds, no window treatments, you've got a house, right? Yeah, and so you've still got to furnish all of that stuff. And so there's cost involved. But
yeah, we don't, and here in Louisiana, they'll sod the front yard. It's very minimal, like a few bushes, a tree, because the association requires it. You even have to purchase your mailbox for the front of the house.
You get no mail.
You get no mail, and you have to call the postmaster to find out exactly where they want the thing itself. It's crazy.
Post,
Yep. Is this the Florida guy? The Doomers excluded Florida. No, he's not from Florida. He's from California.
Yeah, I wish I had that like Dr. Dre California love voice. I would have just thrown it out there, but I don't, and therefore it wouldn't have worked. So
I know. Okay, sorry. Yeah, no. When it comes to like some housing markets that I'm concerned about that just started, like now they're starting to talk about it, is Las Vegas. People are like, oh, they're still going up in Las Vegas. But I've heard from a couple of real estate agents, they're like, they're not going up. We're starting to see price reductions in some areas of Las Vegas.
I mean, the difference in that type of market though, Kristina, let's kind of talk about it for a moment, is that if you look at markets, say like San Francisco, California, San Diego, even Miami and some of these bigger cities, right? Is that like Las Vegas is desert. There's a ton of room to build. Now you're getting further and further from the epicenter, if you will, of Vegas when some of these projects go up, but there's unlimited supply of land to build properties. Look at markets.
No water.
Like, exactly. Look at markets like I'm in and San Francisco and some of these I just mentioned. I'm by the coast. I mean, where I sit right now, I'm half a mile to the Pacific Ocean, right? And so there's only so much buildable land. Areas like this are going to be less impacted by any change in markets than those that are further from the main areas. And I think people, they like, we all tend to like have our biases, and we all tend to like lump things together, and we think, okay, because this is happening here, it must be happening everywhere. It's not. And that's what I think people need to understand.
Yeah, my poor grandma, she was 83 years old when she passed away, but when she was like 76, she's like, "Oh, that tornado last night was terrible." I'm like, "Grandma, that was in Pennsylvania. We live in Massachusetts. That's several states away." "Oh, you didn't get that storm last night?" "No, Grandma." Like, she could not wrap her head around the fact that it wasn't happening everywhere. Like the whole United States had this big giant tornado,
massive tornado.
Yeah, that whipped through all 50 states.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but people do think like that, though, because they think it's happening in their market, must be happening everywhere. I've had home buyers that during the last crash, when they came in from Tennessee, they were like, "Oh, we sold our house for $50,000 less than we purchased it for." I said, "Well, that's not what's happening here. We didn't have a huge rise in our real estate market to begin with. You're probably maybe playing with about $10,000 on average. There's going to be houses that you can have more to play with." Oh, they would get so frustrated. They would lowball every single offer. Of course, they would constantly getting rejected. They're like, "We don't understand. We did this. We should get this too." And I'm like, that's just not how that works. And I understand that's what's happening in Tennessee, but we never had that market. That's why it's super important as a home purchaser is to work with a real estate agent that really understands what's going on in their specific market, because every single real estate market is going to be completely different. I'm outside of Baton Rouge, right? So that would be closer to what's going on in the Baton Rouge market, but the New Orleans market is completely different. I would never even attempt to even sell anything in New Orleans, and it's only a 45-minute drive from me, but it's a completely different market, completely different real estate agents. The whole culture of buying and selling real estate over there is completely different. That's why, you should only stick with the real estate agent that's focused on one specific area. What do you say there?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, we have, because our price points are so high, we have agents that sell in San Diego, and San Diego, is an hour and a half, an hour to northern San Diego, but an hour and a half into like San Diego. And we have agents that drive up here to sell property because it's like they can't think that they would, send a referral or let that type of commission go. And it's crazy because they don't understand. This market is different than that market. I would never go to San Diego. I would never go to these other areas and try to sell property. In fact, I won't even drive more than about 25, 30 minutes, just because I would be doing the client a disservice, and I would be frustrated if I had to continue doing that. And I just know it's not the best use of my time. And so, yeah, you definitely need to find somebody that understands the markets. And some of these markets, might be a 30-minute, 40-minute commute because of how sparse and rural and different areas. So maybe your agent that they service that type of market. But when you're in a densely populated market, say where I am, like Orange County, you shouldn't be using that agent to buy a house in LA or using that agent to buy a house in San Diego. It's two different worlds.
Well, I don't know about you, but I thought on the average that the median home price would be stagnant by now. Like, I thought when it hit 407, I was like, it's not going to go any higher than 407, maybe minuscule like 408, and then it hit 426. So I ended up seeing this article by CNN. Normally don't read this, but it was interesting. It said, despite mortgage rates that dampened sales, home prices continue to climb for higher in the second quarter, with many more cities seeing double-digit price gains in double-digit price gains than in the first part of the year. The median single-family existing home price for the second quarter was $413,500, the first time this quarterly price has ever risen above 400, according to the latest quarterly from the National Association of Realtors. Home prices for the quarter were up 14.2% from a year ago, slightly slower than the 15.4% over the year price increase experienced from the first quarter. A majority of 80% of U.S. areas saw double-digit home price increases in the last quarter, 148 out of the 185. That's up 70% of cities in the first quarter. So what do you have to say about this, my friend? What do you think the reasoning is?
Because of how they do these calculations, right? It's year over year.
Correct.
It's not, if you look at the previous month data, right, you're starting to see some declines. And the data is lagging, right? So when you're looking at a July sales report, those properties really went into escrow in April, May, June. So it's going to slow. You're going to see, the median price moderate over months. You're going to see, markets slow down even more. You're going to see more inventory. Some markets are going to top out probably. I think our market, the peak in inventory is we're probably close to it for this year. Just because, we still have about a month before kids go back to school, or we are. I know other states have already started.
We started.
And so those markets are going to slow down just because of that seasonality that we've been missing out on in the last couple of years is going to come back. And so markets are going to slow. Demand is probably going to slow a little bit further. And I think you just, you have a slower market. So, don't get caught up in headlines being, that the median home prices continuing to climb, at least in my opinion. Just, again, pay attention to what the market's doing. You're going to start to see some moderation if you haven't already, which is going to be a good thing for buyers out there.
Did you see this comment here that he's saying that the home prices in San Jose, California, are the nation's highest price reductions, averaging $100,000 price drop. Does that sound right to you? Do you know anything about that?
I haven't seen the article. I'd be interested in reading the details of it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you've got, again, San Jose is one of those markets that tech boom, a lot of tech money up there. A lot of buyers getting money from, stocks going public, and and those people that were buying in San Jose are those that have moved out of San Francisco and looking for other markets, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, the homes there have been quote unquote overvalued for a long time, people doing crazy things, and prior to even the pandemic. So I'm not surprised to see $100,000 price drops, but I'm also more inclined to say that it's because of the aggressive pricing to start with. That's the reason you're seeing a lot of this stuff. It's just sellers still trying to get away with overpricing, or agents still thinking they can do things they could 6 months ago. And in most markets you can't. And so I think it's going to take some time for people to realize that.
Bad agents can ruin a deal so much.
It's when you get two agents should be working together, right? But everybody thinks it's a competition. Like, hey, I'm going to control this deal. No.
Yeah, I'm smarter. I'm going to show you what I know.
Yeah, no, it's an equal. If you guys work together, there's an equal goal in mind, and you can try to finish the transaction and get to the finish line. Otherwise, people end up sabotaging deals. So I see it all the time.
I'm trying to find the quote about San Jose in here, because they said that they have a picture here. It said sign posted in front of the sale July 14th in San Francisco, California. The number of homes in sale, the U.S. increased by 2% in June from 2019. But, they say, oh, it's increased 2% from 2019, but we're still under the amount. We're not near what we should be as far as supply of homes for sale in our area, not even a close. So that's why I say we're going to be stagnant for home prices for quite some time. It's just not really going to do anything. It's just going to be like, bleh.
And I think that's why I think as a home buyer, you got to be careful buying in these markets, and not because there's a decline in prices going on, but it's more so that, you could buy a house today that doesn't really see much appreciation for quite some time. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, of sideways movement, maybe up a little bit, maybe down a little bit. I mean, that's the reality. But if you're buying for the right reasons, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. But it's just something to pay attention to, because I think if you got that mindset that, hey, I'm going to buy a house and in 2 years I'm going to sell it and I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to go buy the next one, it might not work out that way.
One thing I do want to let people think about, though, if you're in the renting rat race right now and you're paying exorbitant amounts of rent, I just saw somebody that got their lease renewal and they were paying $30,800 for rent, which was astronomical to begin with, but they were doing it. They got their lease renewal and they're like, if you want to go month to month, it's going to cost you $5,700 a month.
Wow.
For a 12-month renewal, it was $4,500.
Okay. Yeah.
A month. So like, here's the thing. So you may not gain a bunch of equity in your house in the next like 5 years, right? Let's just say the market stays stagnant and flat for all that time. But do you want to be paying more and more every single month for a house that you're never going to own when you're renting? I mean, you got to really weigh out your options because you really, right. So
for sure.
I'm not schooling you.
No. But I think that's important. I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, I recently said, why am I buying a house? Why is Jeb right now in the real estate market, understands market statistics, understands all of the craziness that's going on, sees supply increasing? Why am I a potential home buyer right now? Why are me and my wife looking for a house? It's because it's the right time in our life. We have 3 boys that are under, 10 and under, all in a, just under 2,000 square foot house, 3 bedrooms. Well, there's 5 of us. We need more space. These kids are growing. They're getting big. They're sweaty. They stink. Like, we just need more room to be able to run around. And so that's why. I mean, I'm not worried about what house prices look like tomorrow. I'm just worried about finding the right house. So.
Do your kids smell like little sweaty dogs when they come
all the time?
My kids do too. They stink.
Yeah.
Long story short, says, did Jeb know anyone that have gone to Mexico? Have you had any people are like, you know what? Packing up, forget California, head to Mexico.
Not that I know of. Not to live permanently. I know some people that have gone to Cabo and lived for a short period of time, but it has nothing to do with like what's going on now. It's just, things that have happened prior to the craziness, but no, not that I'm following or made aware of.
I had one YouTube friend that got totally turned around. They live in Thailand. That's where their permanent residence is, because everything that happened and they were out of the country when everything started shutting down. They couldn't go back to United States. They would not allow them in Thailand. So they were stuck in Mexico. So they lived in Mexico for like a year and a half before they had, and it was only Airbnbs and you only could rent for them for a period of time. So he moved like 5 times. I know. Sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's brutal.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you guys have a question, I'm running solo today. Eddie was here for a short period of time. He'll be back.
He bailed on us.
He did bail on us because he had to go. Eddie, the producer, he normally brings up the articles and the questions. So if you have a question now, put it in there because I'm looking over here on the right-hand side.
Unbelievable, Eddie.
I know. There he gets for trying to
He's probably need to up his pay. That's probably the problem.
Oh, he's a well taken care of man. He will flat out admit that he is very well taken care of.
All right.
I feel bad for him too. Oh, totally off topic. We have 2 girls, so he gets mothered by 3 women.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
So I have to make up for it. He's showered with gifts often.
Well, that's good. Yeah, my wife's on the other side of it. There's four of us, and 3 boys and me, so she's taking care of 4 people. So it's
You better take her on long vacations and lots of spa treatments.
She's well taken care of as well. So we're
there
all
you
good.
Go. Yeah. He always says I'm a kept man, and he is. Chuck Orlando says, question: new home builders in our location are not giving any incentives except some pickup in closing costs in the Scottsdale market. We'll see what happens, a month from now. I've talked to several agents in the Phoenix area, around that whole Phoenix area, and things are not what they used to be 6 months ago. And they said it was like someone flipped off a light switch. That happened in Orlando during the last housing crash. It was like someone flipped off the light switch. It took some time, but it was instantaneous. And when I was there, it was like $10,000 off, then $30,000 off. Then the home builders were even giving away cars. I'm not lying.
Wow.
There were leased
like
vehicles.
Mr. B style. Buy a house, get a car.
But it was a lease. It was a
Yeah.
lease, so you only got it for a couple of years and you had to turn it in. So, you weren't really, they didn't really give you a car. They let you rent a car basically. But I would, if you're not in a hurry and you're waiting, they're going to start panicking around October, November, December to get rid of some of their supply, especially as they head into the new year. If you want to hold off and see if they can give you, talk to your real estate agent though, see what their advice is. But if it was me, I would hold off because I already know that there's already panic selling out there. From
Yeah,
what I've been
we still
told.
have a lot of new construction in my market in
Mhm.
general, and the stuff that is new construction still gets purchased. So it's like, just because there's not an overbuilding, right? I mean, we don't have that problem here, at
Mm.
least locally. So it'll be interesting, right? I mean, I follow some of these other markets that have the supply, and what's I guess the bigger problem isn't the stuff that's already built. It's more so the number of properties that are under construction that haven't been completed because of the supply chain issues and all of those. It'll be interesting to see what happens, what the market looks like, in some of these areas as that stuff starts to hit.
I'm just trying to find the questions through the chat real quick. I didn't know if you saw any while you were.
I can look here real
Oh,
quick.
here, I think I got one. I think I got one. It's
All
like I'm
right, let's do
fishing.
it. Let's do it.
I'm fishing. Yeah. I saw on the internet yesterday, 0.28 acre Trid property in Arkansas for $3,300. Send a check. No questions. Right. A lot of laughs. Yeah, no. I'm going to tell you, and when it comes to land, I don't know. You obviously probably don't sell a lot of land because there isn't a lot of land around you, but I do. And when it comes to buying land in other states, there's all these companies that sell it, or they'll say you can uh almost like a rent to own, like they'll buy the land, but you're going to be renting it from them, and but they'll purchase, you can purchase it at the end of this term or whatever. Be very, 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 very careful when you do anything like that, and talk to a title attorney in the specific area that you're wanting to buy and have them pull the title work to see if the people that are selling it actually own that piece of land. That is a real problem. It's a real issue. It's a scam that people do when it comes to land. They don't own it. They start advertising random pieces of dirt on the internet. People start putting their manufactured home, tiny home, whatever they had on it. Some guy comes down the road and says, "Hey, why are you doing that on my grandpa's land?" Well, I bought that, and here's my paperwork. And they're like, "Nope, doesn't belong to you." So then it becomes a whole nightmare because they had this brand new manufactured home put on the land. So be very careful. Always have title work done, whether you're like doing a rent to own or not, just to make sure that the structure you're going to end up putting on that piece of dirt belongs to the person that's actually selling it to you.
Great advice.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
got some good ones in there every once in a while. It's just not just a cutesy face. I got some stuff here.
Some brains up there.
Yeah, there is a little bit. When I do this, I'm like, well, I got it all fueled up, and then I go get all the air in there. Question: is drought conditions affecting the home sales in Southwest Southern California areas? Do you have a drought problem in Southern California, and is that causing?
Well, I mean, yeah, we have a drought problem. We're water restricted here where we are, with regards to like watering lawns and stuff. They have you on a schedule of odd and even days and some of this stuff with regards to the drought. But as far as home values go, no, it's not affecting anything. In our markets here in Southern coastal California, as you move, to some of these like Lake Havasu, take even Lake Powell, like, right, not California per se, but like Utah and some of that area, the water levels are super, super low. So if you have a house that's maybe bordering one of these like reservoir type lake deals, like even in Havasu, you might see some effect on value just because of not being able to actually use boats and that sort of thing in the lakes because of the water levels. So there maybe, but no, not here, not yet. This thing, droughts always have a way of working themselves out. In California, I mean, we've been in a drought since I've lived in California, and I've been here 20 years. I mean, we're drought conditions almost every year. This year is obviously a little bit worse than times past, but we also have had a lack of rain for a considerable amount of time. I mean, when I tell people here how much it rains in a year, they're like, "What are you talking about?" So where we are, I think we get about 7 or 8 inches of rain a year. Like that's normal. And it really comes in like a couple of days versus, you know, some areas getting 8 inches. Yeah, exactly.
That's a Saturday in Louisiana.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's crazy. We just, you know, but no, to answer the question, no, we're not seeing any real effects at the moment.
I'm going to tell you, this is a true story. My friend Sandy and her husband, Tom, bought a house in Florida during a drought in Florida. And it was on a lake. So like where the dock was like, it looked like it was miles away from this little scary puddle that was in the center. And they, of course, got a massive discount on this lakefront property because there was no lake. Right. And then the water came, and now they have these beautiful lake views, but they got a heck of a deal because they bought it during that time.
Yeah. And I think there's probably an opportunity for that in some of these markets maybe coming up. You know, we're just, again, it's where I am in Southern California. We're a ways from those markets. Although Southern California is a big area, right? I mean, it's not just Huntington Beach where I am. It spans. Yeah. So maybe in the future, but not yet.
Well, I saw in Las Vegas that they've had lots of rain at one time, flash flooding. It was terrible. Like, have you seen it? Have you seen this?
Yeah, bad. Yeah, I was watching some videos on like TikTok and some of these where the floods were literally like, well, I saw some coming through casino, like through the, you know, the actual ceilings in the casinos, like pouring out. But I saw like the rivers like running through downtown Vegas. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
I thought that was their new Titanic show that they were doing. It looked like it with the water coming in on the tables and stuff.
No, it was wild.
Yeah, it was. Betty, Debbie Brandy, your dreams coach, says, what happens if you have to move because of a job change and can't find a place you can afford in the new city? You rent a room.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you're forced to move because of work, a lot of times there's, you know, packages and work incentives to help out with job transfers, especially if they're moving to a higher cost city. You know, they should be adjusting salary because of that. But at the end of the day, if you can't afford something, then you got to rent. And even if you can't afford something to rent, I mean, there are always places that you can find. It's just a matter of whether or not you like them. So it's not the ideal situation, but unfortunately, there's not like an easy solution to that question.
Right. And that's why in California where you live, like a lot of people had turned their garages into little apartments for people to rent because like school teachers, police officers, firefighters couldn't find a place to live where they were working. So they had this other solution, which was, you know, you could rent out this little 1-bedroom ADU, auxiliary dwelling unit, you know, my garage that I turned into an apartment for you during the week. And then you can go home to your family on the weekends. Terrible solution. But I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You've got to work in that area.
I have friends that work in California as firefighters, but live in Boise, St. George, Las Vegas, some of these more affordable markets. They come here to California and they do their 10 days of work and they fly home, and they're here for not all 10 days in a row, but it's usually 3 or 4 days in a row. They fly back or drive back and they come back, and just, I mean, it's more affordable living. It's not an easy drive, but for them, it makes sense just because of the pay structure versus, you know, what it costs to live in some of these other states.
Before we get to this question, you mentioned St. George, and I was out there. I've been to St. George. It's dry as heck out there.
Yep.
And they have a lot of space to, you know, like grow. I mean, there's tons of land for them to grow. They saw a massive increase of home prices in their area. Do you think that would be an area where people would see some significant price drops? I know that it's slowed there. I don't think
significant. I love St. George. I think it's one of the few areas that if I moved out of Southern California, I'm only in Southern California for the weather. Just in case anybody's wondering.
You can have all my St. George land.
Yeah. I'm not here for the taxes. I'm not here for the politics. I'm not here for any of the craziness that goes on. I'm here for the weather. But to find a state that's comparable in weather is tough. But I think St. George and some of these areas out Southern Utah are awesome. So I don't think so, just because there's still a desire of people that would live in those markets. And it's not like Phoenix and it's not like Vegas, even though there is land there to build. It's nothing like those areas. So I don't see it
green
being
though.
It's no green, but it's dry.
It's so desolate. There's
I get
nothing
it, but
out
there's a
there.
lot to do. There's, that's the thing is like
Well, I mean, there's a
geography.
lot. Yeah, there is a
Like
lot of like
geography is a real selling point for California. Another reason I'm here, right? I live by the beach. I can go surf, do whatever in the morning, take the kids to the beach. I can go ski, snowboard in the afternoon. I mean, really, it's 2 hours from here. You can go hike trails. You've got all of these different things you can do. And they don't have a beach there, but they have
I
a
was
lot of
going to say, where are you
hiking
going
and
to surf?
a lot of outdoor activities. They have good golf. I mean, it's
Okay.
desirable. Yeah. So I don't
You
think
could have
they'll
all
be
my
affected.
St. George land. You could have it all.
Yeah.
Every sort of piece, all of it. All my St. George land. You
It's
can
in
have
the
it all.
deed. I'll sign it.
Linda Kinsley said, do you find many squatter problems in your area of California or in I'm sure I hope she's saying Louisiana. We don't have a squatter problem here in Louisiana because squatters don't really have very good rights here. We're in the deep South, so they're like they have 8 days. If they have not vacated, they get them out. There's no playing around.
You don't want to be homeless in Louisiana. It's like 1,000 degrees outside. You'll die out there.
No, and you don't want to cause problems, but they're sneaky though, man. I had a bad renter, and she knew exactly what she was doing to get around stuff. She stole my washer, my dryer. Yeah, this was a job for her. How she did it, but whatever. Anyway,
California, where I am, no. In my area of Orange County, but in LA, definitely a bigger problem. Not necessarily the squatters as it just is homeless people in general. It's a big problem, and it's only going to get worse as home values have continued to rise and money dries up with inflation. And yeah, it's not I don't know what the answer is, but it's a problem, but not necessarily squatters, people staying in property. It's more just homeless in general.
They had a movie years ago with Michael Keaton in it, where he had redone an apartment, he was the squatter, but he knew exactly what he was doing, and he made these people's lives miserable.
Yeah,
and he got to live there for free, and he tore up the place for no reason.
That's California. I mean, California is very tenant friendly. You can get away it being in a property here and not paying rent for especially with all the craziness that's happened over the last couple of years with, moratoriums and all of that. You could get away with not paying rent for an extended period of time before you actually get physically removed.
Oh,
so yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah. If you're going to do it here if you were a investor in California and then you went to Louisiana to start buying up houses, you would be pleasantly surprised, because that ain't the case here.
No, and that's one of the scary things with people is that they're a bit scared to buy property here in California because of how tenant friendly it is. And it's and that's why you got to do the homework up front, right? And make sure your tenants are solid. And you can't always prevent bad tenants, but you can stack your odds, if you will.
So somebody asked about this company called Vantum Global. It looks like they have a new factories coming to make more affordable houses. I'm not familiar with this specific company, but I will tell you that it looks very similar to a company that I have been working with, which is Backyard Workroom, which does these insulated panels, and it pretty much looks exactly like their factory. Yeah, that's exactly what they are, insulated panels. I don't know if you saw the Affordable Housing Act that was coming up from the Biden administration, where they talked about more of these panelized construction, and they're going to try to get them deregulation of instead of a lot of red tape for allowing modular construction to be done, where you have a bunch of, how it is, especially like in California. You have a subdivision, it takes 20 years before it ever actually see houses on the piece of dirt. So that was the idea, is that they're going to be allowing for more things like this. But see, this is exactly what it is. Different type of material, but it's an insulated panel here. And it actually has really good noise reduction. My little house is made from the same idea, the insulated panels. You're going to be hearing more about me talking about modular insulated panels, because I met with some pretty heavy hitters in Texas when it comes to modular construction. And you'll be seeing some videos coming out in the near future. But yeah, see here, you can see right here, it can stand a Cat 5, a Hurricane Doreen. This one said before Hurricane Doreen. This is after Hurricane Doreen. All the trees had their leaves ripped off, but it's still standing.
Yeah, I mean, look at the background there. I mean, you can definitely tell like the number of trees are definitely gone down.
Yeah. That's very common here in Louisiana. Like the trees looks like they're stripped clean, but yeah. So they're hurricane resistant. They're earthquake resistant. They are. I think they're going to be the thing that changes the home building industry altogether. I don't know about this specific company altogether, but I will tell you that modular construction is going to be something we're going to be looking at a lot more, because so much faster to build, so much more energy efficient. And even though the cost, this is one of those things that people get messed up. So modular construction at one time was less expensive than building a traditional built home. And in some cases, you could still find modular construction that is less than traditional home building. Now it seems like it's right in line. Exactly what you would pay for a traditional home build would be the same as you built for a modular. So people are like, why the heck would I want to do that? Well, this is why I'm going to tell you why you want to do that. Modular construction can be built twice as fast with not as many people in your construction area. So a house that would normally take 6 to 9 months to build will take you probably 2 to 3 months to build. Secondly of all, once that house is built, it is so energy efficient. Your electricity bills are going to be cut in half if it's done correctly. If that thing is installed correctly with the insulated panels that they have, your energy bills will be cut in half. And yeah, I think it's the wave of the future. I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, the only thing I would say is Vantum, if you want Kristina to push your product, you need to reach out to her. This is free advertising right now. The next time it's going to cost you.
There you go.
Hey, you get one free. This was it.
And I didn't even do it. That was Joni Johnson. Thank you, Joni. Question. Is fake grass another alternative used in California and not here. We have too much rain, but
yeah, for sure here. In fact, many of the local water districts will pay. They will give you a credit to put in drought tolerant landscaping, drought tolerant grass. And honestly, I used to, poop all over. I mean, not poop, like literally poop on it.
Oh, yeah.
Talk crap on all of this stuff because of how it looked. It has come so far. Like I went to a buddy's house, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and we got out of the car and my wife was like, God, is, something about the grass. And I go, she said it was real. And I go, babe, I think it's fake. And like, we honestly went back and forth talking about it for a couple minutes. And I was like, I honestly don't know if it's real or fake. And I even got down and felt it. And come to find out it was fake. And I was like, wow, this stuff's come a very long way. So yeah. And if you're going to do that in this area, make sure you look at the water district, what they're offering, because they will pay for it in many ways. So
now with that stuff, is that the same stuff that they use to hold down the grass with the rubber tires that was causing people to get sick?
I don't know what it is now. Like the AstroTurf type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how it's, I mean, you used to be able to look through it and kind of see the asphalt underneath it, like the rubber. If like you go to a football field that's AstroTurf, you can see the rubber underneath it. In fact, if you run on it and whatever else,
it kicks up
everywhere. I wasn't running on his grass when I pulled out, but I did stand on it and look at it, and I didn't see it, but it's also was brand new, so I don't know.
I have this image of you doing like carpet angels in the grass.
I can go out there. I can go do a video and lay on his grass, and we can do a whole thing on.
This is fake. It's not even real, but it sure does look it. That'd be so funny.
He's just laying in his lawn.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Adrian says, question, in Atlanta, it keeps getting cash offers via phone, mail, etc. Should I sell or hold on and rent, possibly house jack? What would you suggest if you're in my position? Thank you so much. Oh my God, there's a million different reasons why you either should sell or a million reasons why you shouldn't sell. I don't know your personal financial situation. I always say if you can hold on to a piece of real estate, you want to hold on to it as long as you can, because you can get a lot of that's how most people get their generational wealth, is through real estate. So I can't give you a blanket statement. I would say go and make yourself a pros and cons list and go through that. If you have a significant other that has this house with you, I would make your list in 2 separate rooms. You know, they go in their room, you go in your room, do the pros and cons list, then have a meeting together. And then and see if that's something you want to work out. Now, if you want to, like, if you're the one that's renting a room, I get it. So you can save for a possible house. You know, that's what you want to do. Save as much money as you can. You know, like my husband and I, we lived in tax credit housing in a really shady area of Orlando for a long time. But that was because we were saving for a house, you know? So like we all do it. You gotta eat a little poop every once in a while in order to get what you want. You know?
No, and I always ask the question, sell and do what? Like, you're thinking of selling, why? Why are you selling? Are you selling because you need a bigger house? Do you need, you know, are you moving? Are you just selling because you feel like, you know, the market's topped out, you're trying to pick a top or bottom? If that's the reason, I say that you're selling for the wrong reasons. But you also have to think, do you have tax consequences? Do you have capital gains that you're going to have to pay on that property? How long have you owned the property? Like, there's a lot of things questions that you need to ask yourself to figure out whether or not it makes sense. It's not always just a yes or no answer. In fact, many times it's not that clear. So I think the pros and cons thing is a good idea, but really figure out why you're trying to do what you're trying to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I always say, try to hold on to it, but I understand when you can't.
Yeah. No, picking market timing is a fool's game, you know? So don't do it for that reason is all I would say.
Holy cow.
Look at that.
I know. Doug Stufflebean. He's one of my favorite people. This is Doug Stufflebean works for one of the companies that I was talking about with those insulated panels. And he was one of the people that I met in around Plano, Dallas, Texas area. And apparently he's been watching the channel.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
This looks like an early sponsorship here. This is what I see happening.
I always, whenever you call,
he's incentivizing you.
Yeah, because he has the coolest last name I've ever heard in my life. I always say, hello, Mr. Snuffleupagus. I come up with 1,000 different names for his last name because it's so cool. You know, I have an unusual name too. All right, let's see. I'm trying to find another question in this grand scheme of questions here.
But that was really cool of you, Doug. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
I know. If I've missed your questions, you can totally yell at me after the stream ends. I don't have a producer right now because he went to go pick up my kid. So I'm trying to navigate this myself, and I'm not used to it because I've been spoiled by my producer. My producer husband.
I don't have a producer, so I'm used to this. I'm used to winging it.
Oh, well, you know. Not everybody can be as good as my husband.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, question. Did you see that Open Door got hit with a $62 million lawsuit? Will this affect iBuying companies? Do you think this will affect iBuying companies?
I honestly haven't seen the lawsuit, so I need to, I'm behind a couple days in reading. So if it's recent, I haven't. I know for a fact I haven't seen it. So yeah.
It wasn't that. It's been a couple weeks.
Okay, yeah, I'm not aware of it at all. So
okay, so I don't know if it was Open Door. I think it was one of those companies. Is one of those companies that were. So you know how like when people were selling their houses, the Open Door would give them a price, and they would say, "Okay, this is the best price we can do." Then they would charge them some nominal fees, but they basically advertised it that you were getting much better deal by selling it to them.
Mm-hmm.
But the fine print didn't necessarily, that wasn't the case.
Gotcha.
And so they were fined, which it was a small amount, in my opinion, of $62 million in this lawsuit. I will say this, that seems like a very small amount. But I think there's a reason for it, because I think they opened the door, no pun intended. They opened the door for precedent. So now that they've been fined $62 million, individual people can go and say, hey, you know what? You bought my house for $350,000. You told me that was the best I could get. I have all these emails saying that was the best price I could get. And the house right next door 2 weeks later sold for $375,000. You know, I want my money. So I think it's that specific case opened the door for other people to sue them, because they weren't necessarily completely honest with pricing the houses to get them when they purchased them.
Got it. Yeah. No. So can I be honest?
Yes.
So I talked about this sort of thing for years about iBuying companies and the
Right.
cost involved and how it was always more because of the transaction cost in selling these properties. It was always more. And they're there to get a deal. They're not going to pay a
Mhm.
premium for this thing. So I don't want to be like, you know, you should have known, but I don't know. I think it's a good idea to get more, and I feel sorry for anyone that got taken advantage of or felt like they got taken advantage of. But the reality is, if you're going to sell your house, just like anything else, you need to get a couple of different opinions. And even now, even open door, whatever, talk to multiple people and just see where people think values are, overall fees, all of that stuff. It's a good idea to shop around. Just because they're a big company and they have a big name and they spend a lot of money on marketing doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the best deal. And I think that's what this ends up being is, them using their leverage and their name to be able to walk away from situations and get, you know, um, more money because of how they made it look. Now, I might be missing something because I haven't read the article, but it sounds like that's kind of the conversation here.
The
Based on what you're
FTC
saying.
fined them. The
Yeah.
FTC fined them 62 million, saying that iBuyer misled customers by saying they could make more money selling their homes to the company than via the traditional route. Insider reporter. The fine is part of a settlement with the agency, so they misled them. They said you
Gotcha.
can
Yeah.
sell it to us. You're going to make more money by selling it to us. These companies do have their place. And I know some real estate agents are going to probably want to drown me after I say this, but there is a good reason to use a company like this if you're in a situation where, for instance, you're out of the country, you can't deal with this, a family member has passed away, you just want it off your back, the house is in disarray, it's needed to be updated for years, you just want to get rid of the darn thing. They're willing to throw some money at you, you don't have to empty out the house, you're like, fine, get rid of it. That to me makes sense. You want to do that. But if you're just a traditional home seller, I would definitely weigh out your options before you ever jump into any of these companies, in my opinion.
And all I would add on that, Kristina, is that if you're thinking about that, still call an agent locally. Because if you called me and said, "Hey, listen, I'm out of the country. Someone passed away. I've got this house." I say, "Listen, I got 10 investors that will go in and buy that property." And between 10 investors all putting in offers, knowing that there's another investor, somebody's going to end up paying more for the property than the next guy, and probably more than one of these iBuyer companies. So again, talk to somebody local. It's okay to talk to iBuyers. They're great for what they are, but understand they're not always, a one size fits all.
Right. Yep. Just, all these companies have their place, all of them, as much as you may not like them. They all have a place in the market. It says a part of the settlement, the company is required to stop making deceptive claims in their advertising, which Open Door claims that they have already modified. The fine in the meanwhile is expected to be used to pay back customers who were duped by the company. Open Door released a statement saying their leaders are strongly disagree with the FTC's allegations. Like they were going to come out and say, you know what, this was totally fair. So glad they did that. Yeah. We were totally wrong. Nobody does that. San Francisco-based Open Door is one of the most prominent iBuyers. Recently logged in its most profitable quarter in its 8th-year history. The company was founded by Eric Wu, reported a record revenue of $5.2 billion. So this 60. Yeah, this 63 million is like really just, pocket change for their 5.2 billion for their first quarter. One of the customer appeals of iBuyers and Open Door is their ability to sell the home quickly and efficiently. There's also been a perception that iBuyers may pay more for the homes as the companies proceed to make quick renovations and put the homes back on the market, hoping to reap the profit. Sometimes they're selling them to rent them out, just saying. But the model's durability has been called into question after Zillow's iBuying business fell apart, blah, blah, blah. All right. We already know all that. I don't know what to talk about Zillow. I gotta talk about
that's enough advertising for them as well.
Yeah, I don't even use their numbers. Somebody said that to me. They're like, "Why don't you use their numbers?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to use their numbers because I don't want to."
Yeah.
Who did? Somebody said, "Why did somebody put Oh, Eddie must be back because I didn't put that in there. Don't forget to hit the like button. I don't know why you did that. Eddie's back. So now you guys can really pump the chat with some questions because Eddie can see it. Eddie can see
I was
it.
like, how are you confused with what's popping up here?
Yeah.
And then Eddie's in the background again.
Eddie's in the background again. Richard Easton says, do you think used mobile home prices will go down in the near future? If so, how much? Thanks. Okay. So, Richard, it would depend. Are you buying a manufactured home that is a repossession and you're going to put it on a piece of land? Or are you talking about a person that has a manufactured home that's already attached to a piece of land? Or are you talking about a manufactured home that's in a manufactured park? Because all of those three things are completely different. So if you're talking about the person that has a manufactured home that's already attached to the land, it's considered real property, it's part of the tax record. Both of those things are one continuous real property, one title. That would depend on the area that you live in. It's just like any kind of real estate that you purchase. It doesn't matter if it's a house, a manufactured home, a modular home. If the home prices are declining in that area, that would be the same as a manufactured home. The home manufactured homes would decline as well. But just like you can read through my comments, tons and tons of comments, because Dave Ramsey has a famous quote that said that you never buy a manufactured home because it's a car you sleep in. You'll never gain any kind of equity in it. And then I know for a fact that is a very untrue statement. That is completely untrue. And then in my comment section, people are like, what is he talking about? I just made $30,000 on my property, right? So you have to know your market, and not every market you're going to be making a lot of money. And I will say this, you're not going to make as much money on a manufactured home that's on a piece of property as you would as a stick built or a modular home on that piece of property. But that doesn't mean that's a depreciating asset. As long as those two things are tied in together as real property, not separate. You can't have a chattel loan and then a land loan. That's two separate pieces of property. Then your house could be a depreciating asset.
And that's primarily what's in my market.
Depreciating assets.
Yeah.
As far as,
it's all land lease and parks.
But Malibu has tons of manufactured home parks they make a bank, tons of money. Profit.
No. That, again, each one of these is a little bit separate and whatever, but here locally, like, the parks that mobile manufactured homes are set up in, some of these rents in these things are astronomical. It's incredible. I mean, like $2,500, $2,800 in rent. It's amazing. But yeah, those properties typically depreciate around here just because you don't own the land that's associated with them. Yeah.
So How to ADU, which is a friend of mine. You can go back to that in just a second. I just want to put this really quick. It says, there are enough drought resistant grasses. They look like Dr. Seuss plants. They don't look like they can. All right, Eddie, go ahead and put that other one up. It says, Lefty Play Righty. Oh, that's a neat name. I like that.
Lefty Plays Righty.
Yeah, I like it. Question. First time buyer renting, wanted to keep New York job, buying in Atlanta, scores and income great. But Atlanta mortgages, folks, no mortgages unless I currently work in Atlanta. Why? My income would stink.
So can I touch on that?
Yeah, you do it.
Yeah. So you can definitely buy in Atlanta with working in New York. You just got to be able to provide proof that you have that job in New York, and that you're going to be able to keep that job in New York, and that you're able to work remotely. Or that you have some sort of schedule to be able to fly in, once a month or whatever it is to work there. But no, a lender will qualify you having income from a job in another state. If you want to buy in another state, it's just the story's got to make sense, right? Because they might be looking at that going, hey, listen, you live in New York, you're trying to buy a property in Atlanta for a rental property, when in fact you really want to live in it. So you just got to be able to provide the story there, right? To show how you're going to be able to work remotely in doing so.
Right. Because think about how many people relocate.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. You just because you're moving there and you have your job now currently in New York, there isn't no reason why you can't buy in Atlanta. Yeah, unless your job, I've seen it where it was like, okay, well, I was a school teacher here, but now I'm going to be a real estate agent here, and the lender's like, Nope,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, no, that's clearly a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem. You can't do that. But if you have the same job, it doesn't matter. Oh, this is a question for you. Do ADUs require special titling? Like, so do you have to add that to the title of the property if you have an ADU? Or do you
That's
know?
a really good question. I don't think so. They do. So the state now of California basically allows ADUs, right? Which basically means that you don't have to necessarily go through each city to get them approved. Now, each city has their own restrictions and their codes and all of this stuff that are supposed to be followed in order to do ADUs, but I don't know that the ADU actually gets a separate piece on title because it's all of the same parcel, if you will. And just because there's an ADU on it doesn't mean now that it's considered a zoned R2 or whatever, right? It's still an R1 property with an ADU on it, which here in California, basically R1 is residential one structure on a property, even though that ADU is a separate structure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but do they have to write it in the tax record? Like ours, like if you added a shop.
I don't think so because of the way they're building, because unless it's like some of these ADUs aren't built like on a permanent foundation type structure, right? They're built in the back, kind of like your work shed, if you will, right? It's not you're not pouring concrete and doing all of that in order to get the ADU out there. So I'm a little unclear of whether or not it actually has to go on title, but I know people with ADUs. I've sold properties that have ADUs that they're not reported on there any separately. It's just a single family structure with an ADU on it. So whether or not that was done correctly or not, I can't say. And since that law has changed, they may be changing how that zoning goes on title.
Diamond Rush Media, I want you to do me a favor and reach out to my friend at How to ADU. He has a channel here on YouTube. He is the California ADU expert, honestly.
There you go.
Yeah, his name's Ryan O'Connell. Super nice guy, super knowledgeable when it comes to California ADUs. So ask him, man.
No, that's good. I mean, I'll actually make a note to look it up too, because it's honestly, it's one of those things that is changing, even though the code's there and the state allows it, it's still changing constantly just because there's so many more people doing it.
Linda Kinsley said manufactured home parks are selling out. Is this way of living, is that a thing of the past? Is this way of living a thing of the past?
So she's saying, I think that mobile home parks are selling, like they're taking the park and saying, hey, listen, we're selling the park to another developer or to somebody else.
They do.
And we're out. Right.
So you know what they're doing is they're selling them to places like Blackstone and other other big entities, because they realize they're super easy to maintain, easier than an actual building itself. Those manufactured home parks, and they can raise the rates. There's no laws on them. So no regulations when it comes to renting manufactured home.
I've had two in my market sell in the last 12 months. One sold, I forget how many units were in it or spaces were in it, sold for $58 million. Very first thing they did was in there, and this was a senior park, right? So you had to be 55 and older. Rents were kept down because of seniors. And I don't remember where the rents were at that time, say like $1,200 or something, right? Per space rent. And they jacked it up like $1,500, right? It went up like 25% immediately. And everybody in there was raising hell because for that very reason. But yeah, they bring in a lot of income. So
and that's the whole thing, is like they already know, these companies already know,
sure.
we're gonna buy this for pennies on the dollar when it comes to real estate. Normally if you were to buy 55 units, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. This is a quarter of that price. We're going to go ahead and go in there and we can raise the rent to whatever we want. We're in, and that's what they do. And it's happening. It's everywhere. It's all over the United States. And there's no state regulations to stop them from doing it. None whatsoever. In most states, either 49 states, when it comes to manufactured home rent spaces, the lots themselves, there's no regulation. They can do whatever they want. They can make whatever rules they want. They can evict you for any reason. It's not the same as rental laws like for an apartment or a condo or townhouse.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, very, isn't it? Like, that's why they love them, because they can be as evil as they want to. But question: Taiwan Semiconductors is building a factory that should be done in 2024 in the North Phoenix area. Could this boom cause the South Phoenix to return to pre-pandemic prices, or will it drive everything up? Time will tell. I'd be lying if I told you if I knew what my prediction is for that. You go ahead for it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I know is talking to a buddy of mine who's a big agent in Phoenix area. I talked to him on a podcast recently, and we asked about some of this stuff. And he basically named, I don't know if Taiwan Semiconductors is one of them, but he named 4 or 5 big companies that were building plants in there that's going to create additional job growth and help the metro grow, if you will. And what a lot of people don't understand about like the Phoenix metro area is a lot of that land that's out there isn't buildable land. The state owns it. And if you want to build on it, you've got to bid for it from the state in order to do it. And it's a process and so on and so forth, that it's very cumbersome to the point that it's likely not going to be built on. So while it might look like, hey, Phoenix is this desert area where they just have all this room to build, it's actually not like that at all. So he seems to think that the market, yeah, it's been overinflated. Yeah, there's been this crazy demand, but he seems to think that it's not going to crumble like a lot of people out there with the changes. And because of all of these companies coming there, it should help support prices. Now, pre-pandemic levels, no idea. But I think, with job growth, that stuff is what
keeps an economy going.
Yeah, that's what keeps cities strong and areas wanting to go there, because it brings people in. So can't say for certain, but if you want a knowledgeable agent to talk to there, and I'm happy to put you in touch with him. And he's a smart dude that knows his stuff. So
I had Jeff Underwood here the other week. He's another guy. He was out of Phoenix, but he's no longer anymore.
Okay, yeah, this guy's not a video YouTuber. He's just a
this guy's a podcaster.
Yeah, that I call and like, hey, I want to know what's going on here, dude. Give me the details.
Skinny, skinny.
Yeah, give me the good stuff.
Jeff used to be in the Phoenix market. He's now in, I believe, Missouri now. So I think I believe that's Missouri. Maybe it was Arkansas. Anyways,
it's all right there.
It's all right there. Anyways, that's where he moved to, but he was in Phoenix and had lots of real estate stuff in Phoenix, but he's a podcaster. I've been on his podcast a few times. He knows a lot about the area, but yeah, that's a good point. Like even Austin, Texas, if you think about it, there is a lot of industry that came out there, and people are talking about, oh, it's going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart. It's going to fall out there. It's going to, the housing prices are going to crash. Eventually, nothing can continue to go up. Right. Is it going to crash? I don't know. I still, in my heart of hearts, don't feel like we're going to be seeing crash numbers. Like we're not going to see a collapse like we did during the last housing.
There's still a lot of Californians that would rather be in Phoenix area for many reasons. And so, prices will only go down so far before people continue to step in and buy.
Right. And that's how I feel about Austin, because they've had a lot of industry that came in there.
That's like the tech industry. That whole area is transforming into, the next tech market. And it's going to continue to, again, there's a lot more land out there, but it will only go down so much.
The food in Texas, believe it or not, is amazing. I would have never guessed in a million years, but we had some really good food in Texas, in Austin, Dallas, everything. So if you guys are even thinking about Texas and you're like, I don't know if I really want to move there, blah, blah, for numerous reasons, just know you'll be full. You'll never be hungry.
Hard Eight Barbecue. Hard Eight, I think that was the name of that place that we ate one night in Dallas recently. Delicious.
I don't like barbecue.
11 pounds of meat is what we purchased. It was this monstrosity. It was a little bit of everything, but
yeah. I mean, like if you're a barbecue person, go for it, but I'm not.
There was some chicken on there. There was different meats. But,
anything that's smoked. I don't want something that tastes. Yeah, I don't want anything that tastes like campfire. I have a few acres in Colorado. I'm definitely do not want a stick-built home. Thinking of something small. Scared it's going to cost a fortune. What would you do? I would talk to a local real estate agent in your area and see what would be the best decision for you. I mean, would it behoove you to put some, like, I don't know, tiny rental homes, tiny little Airbnbs? How many can you put on those acres? You know, that way you have income producing property instead of sitting there with a, you know, making no money. Is that even feasible? Is that something that would make you like be able to be used for you? Would modular homes be the right thing? I would ask a real estate agent in your area what their expert advice is. You don't like their advice, find somebody else, you know, to talk to. I wouldn't even talk to just one person in that specific area. I'd find one from each of the top offices and ask to speak to somebody that's familiar with new construction and see what they have to say. What do you say, Jim?
I don't really have any advice there, honestly. Like, I think what you kind of touched on it all. I think, you know, going the way with some of these pre-built properties like the one you're in there now that can just be, you know, kind of put together in a short period of time is an awesome idea. And that stuff's coming so far, so fast that I think if you can give it some time, you're going to have some options out there with regards to doing it without it being truly stick built and probably a lot more cost effective.
One more thing I want to mention about modular construction is that the type of modular construction that's been around, this is not new technology. This isn't like 3D printing homes is new technology. It hasn't been out long enough for its, you know, for it to stand the test of time. When it comes to a lot of just there's all these different home builds, like, oh, there's this mystery concrete that's going to save the world. Oh, look, there's this, you know, monolithic dome home that, like, that's even well tested. You know, pick something that's going to be well tested, has stood the test of time, where you can see examples over the last 10, 15, 20 years that is a sitting structure. So you can see the normal wear and tear. If the product of a house hasn't been out for that long, do you really want to be the test bunny? You know, do you want to be the litmus test to see if this really works? Just saying.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. You know, modular homes have been around for a while. They're awesome. Serenity Cow says, what are the best affordable California beach and mountain towns for outdoor enthusiasts? Of course, more fireproof than not. Second question, is Cali seeing any climate do you have any climate change migration? Like, yeah,
not really.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't think so.
No, not really. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, if anything, people move here for the weather, right? I mean, it's, you know, the climate here is great 90% of the time. I mean, you know, a good portion of the year, the climate's awesome. So, but I don't have any people saying, hey, you know, I'm leaving because it's, you know, couple degrees hotter this year, a couple degrees cooler. Yeah.
Some wildfires came through.
And wildfires are, you know, something that a lot of California has to deal with, you know, year round. Being here where I am, a little bit more coastal, obviously the fires can only get so close. You know, Laguna Beach, which is down the road, they get some occasionally. But as far as affordable beach and mountain towns, I have no idea.
It doesn't exist.
I mean, in Southern California,
beach town California doesn't exist.
Yeah, you almost have to go like, I mean, affordable's relative, right? I mean, and so to each his own on that sort of thing. But I think,
right,
you know, mountain towns, all the mountain towns that are that I'm aware of are the touristy mountain towns, right? And they're not affordable, you know, because it's touristy and they're already pre-built. I mean, they're already built out and that sort of thing. But the further you go in Northern California, like above San Francisco and all that, as you get closer to Oregon, you know, obviously a little bit more desolate. They might, I don't know, maybe they have mountains up there, maybe they don't. I don't know. I've never been up there. So honestly, I can't answer your question and give you any real help because everything is just so expensive at the moment.
If you're looking for affordable mountain towns, you got to go onto the other coast. You know,
like you got to go like Midwest.
Yeah, well, you can even go like Georgia. You know, like you can go to the North Georgia mountains up there. You know, they're affordable. You know, Tennessee, that's more affordable.
Along the Appalachian Trail, just follow it up.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's more affordable. LB says, new sub, do you talk more about northern markets like DC, Philly, Boston, or have channels you recommend? I have everybody on this channel. I've had people from New Jersey on here. That was just a few weeks ago. I had Jackie Baker on. I've had people from Tennessee, California, Phoenix, Arizona, Florida. I mean, Utah, every market, every real estate market I talk about a little, everybody gets a little touch on, because I want to appeal to as many people as possible. I don't get a lot of people like in Oregon. Like nobody's from North Dakota says, can you tell me about the North Dakota market? I've never been asked. North Dakota, South Dakota, nobody ever asks. Never.
I don't think anybody lives there.
There are people that
there's no one lives in North Dakota.
Yes, I promise you. If anybody's in the
I've never met a person from North Dakota. Therefore, I don't know that anyone lives there.
Yep, I met one person, and she was in high school. Her name was Ginger Gearman. Yep.
Well, she probably doesn't live there anymore.
She lives in Georgia.
See, exactly.
I have an acre in a high value area. $1 million. It's an acre. I never heard of modular homes. Are they typical to lower cost areas? Love the idea. So fast. No, you can get, now there's low end modular homes, just like there's low end homes, period. There's high end modular homes. And it just like anything, you just, if you want a nice high end home, you can have a nice high end home done for you in a modular home style.
You'd be surprised what some of these, you'd be surprised looking at some of these homes, Elle, that you wouldn't know they're modular homes.
Look up Zip Kit Homes. I'm not sponsored by them by any means of imagination, but they have some really nice floor plans. Zip Kit Homes.
Yeah, I mean, 2-story. Like it doesn't matter. Like these homes now are crazy. Like you look at it and you once somebody tells you it's modular, maybe you can kind of figure it out. But some of them are done so well these days that you can't even tell.
Right. Well, and I think what people get confused with a modular home over a manufactured home. So a manufactured home is what like you would see in a manufactured home park where they have like the homes, they're kind of almost like cylinders all the way down, and they're kind of lined up in a row and they're just one straight line. When you go into modular homes, it's a house. It just so happens those components that build the house were built in a factory. That's it. That's the difference. Once it's put together, a modular home looks no different than a regular home. I mean,
there you go.
There's no difference. But anyways, I was born in South Dakota.
But you don't live there. Born.
Julie,
do you live there?
Julie was born there.
No one lives in that's South Dakota. We said North Dakota anyway.
I doesn't any of the Dakotas. We said any of
North Dakota. No one lives in North Dakota.
No one lives in North Dakota.
I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
And Kristina, not I've got 3 minutes.
Yeah, you can go.
No,
yeah,
we're good.
We can keep talking. But if anybody wants to talk to Jeb after the stream because he doesn't want to talk to us anymore, you can go visit his YouTube channel.
my wife is getting her hair blown dried because we have her parents' anniversary dinner tonight, and I told you earlier she gets treated well. So the boss, I got to go home.
Yeah, so look, there he is, Mr. Jeb Smith. He's got him
59.9. I think I'm like a few subscribers short of 60,000. So you guys can be the ones that get me over it. How's that?
Yeah, that'd be nice if everybody could.
60,000. I'm retiring. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, then don't go over there.
A lot of work, huh?
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't subscribe then, because if he gets to 60,000, he's not going to do it anymore.
I'm done.
That's it. I quit. So if you want to know more about the real estate market over there in California, or if you need a referral for a real estate agent in California, Jeb Smith does some of those as well. I got you. He also gives you, he also knows some mortgage lenders over there as well. So he and I were talking about that the other day. So he's a mortgage guy. You have your mortgage license too, right?
I don't. But I owned a mortgage company for over 10 years. And so for a while I did mortgages and real estate, and then I got smart and stopped doing mortgages and just did real estate. So, So I understand the mortgage side as well.
Oh, look at this. It says, question, would you have, any of you have live?
Would
live in a module?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. 1,000%. Like my next home, I've said it 1,000 times that my next home will be a modular home, because I've seen it for myself, the energy efficiency of these things. And the one that I looked at, I told Jeb about this when we were in Texas. The one I saw, like you could shoot a 45 caliber pew 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 at it, and it wouldn't break the seal. It wouldn't break. It wasn't. I mean, it had a little dent in it, but it was nothing like a metal roof.
So if you live in an area that's prone to drive-by shootings, just get yourself a modular home.
No, the idea of it was because of hail, Mr. Man. Listen,
I just solved problems in areas where there's gang violence We just live in modular homes. You can't penetrate it.
Oh, come on. All right, I'll let you get on with your day.
I'm getting kicked off, guys. No,
yeah.
Thank you, Kristina.
Thanks,
Eddie.
I'm gonna still talk to my friends here. I'm gonna.
Fair enough.
If
you find anybody from North Dakota, you let me know.
I'm sending them your way. I'm gonna have them call you.
Yeah.
Do it on the live stream. I'm from North Dakota.
That's perfect. All right. See you guys. Thanks again.
Right. Bye. Bye, friend. I'm gonna still talk to you guys because I'm still here and I want to. I'm feeling much better since I had the Rona. So, question: do you think certain prices will come down so a family that makes $2,400 a month would be able to buy a house? Depends on the area. Like, like that. To me, $2,400 in my specific area would get you a nice house to purchase, right? But in some areas, that's impossible. That's going to depend on your individual real estate market. I wish I had a better answer for you. I'm hoping that prices get more reasonable. My thought process is that they're going to be what I've been calling the great stagnation. I'm actually still shocked that the median price of homes is still continuing to go up. I thought for sure we would just be staying no higher than 400,000 for the median price for the whole United States. And for the last 2 months where it continued to go up, I was totally shocked because I thought for sure it would remain flat, especially with interest rates going back up. But now they've gone back down again. So, this is I've been saying this for 3 years. This is the craziest real estate market that I've ever been in. It's exciting because there's a lot of it changes daily. It changes daily, and that's not something that normally happens. It's real estate's pretty boring, like it's normally a pretty boring process buying and selling a home. There's some hiccups and there's some cool stories that happen throughout the process, but for the last 3 years, man, it has been a roller coaster ride, wild. But I think that next year we're going to see home prices in other markets besides some of the bigger ones coming down. With pre-pandemic levels? I don't think so. Debbie Brady says, my Brady side helped settle the Dakotas are territories. The Dakotas are territories. I live in North Dakota. See? Oh, man. Darn it, Jeb left. Darn it. Jeb swears there's nobody that lives in the Dakotas. See, he's wrong. And he got another question to throw up on the screen really quick there. Jeb has to take his lady out for dinner tonight. What is the smallest square footage you can have seen in a modular home? Smallest square footage, I think, was like 280 square feet. But you know what? I'm going to tell you this. So there is a tiny home company. I think it's out of Tennessee. It's Tiny Home Nation or no. God, the guy's out of Tennessee. He makes one. It is modular panels, but granted, it's a tiny home that's on wheels, and their whole thing is $20,000. You have to finish it off, right? But the panels themselves are insulated modular panels, and like I said, it's like 280 square feet. It might be a little bit bigger than that, but it's tiny. Incredible tiny homes. Thank you. Incredible tiny homes. And it's like a family run business. I watched several of their videos. I saw how their panels are put together. They are modular panels. They're not calling them. They're calling them insulated panels. They're not calling them modular panels. And the reason why they don't call them modular homes is because there's another kind of certification to be considered modular, even though the parts and everything that puts them together is a modular home. So instead of saying that, they'll say it's a tiny home or a mini house, but it's still a modular home. They just are not calling them that. Yeah, Randy Jones. Yep, there it is. Incredible tiny homes. Yep. So Anyways, all right, my friends. It looks like a lot of you have jumped off since Jeb has left. We've been on the air. I appreciate you, every single one of you. You guys have been on the air with me today for 1 hour and 24 minutes, and I appreciate every single one of you. I want to thank the mods, and I hope you guys thank the moderators too, that always keeps this chat really, really nice and clean and make sure that there isn't any nonsense in here. And it always makes it very fun for me. Every single Sunday, I enjoy spending time with you talking about real estate because it is changing every single week. You never know what's going to happen. One week it's going up, next week it's going down. It's always super, super crazy. So don't forget to smoosh the like button. Give me a little thumbs up. Tell everybody that you tell the YouTube algorithm that you love the show. Want to do it again next week. We will be doing it again next week. We will be doing this next Sunday. If you have any ideas that you would like me to discuss on next Sunday's show, let me know. I will be answering all your questions within the first day. After that, I do not answer questions in the stream comment section because sometimes it gets a little snarky towards Kristina Smallhorn, not gonna lie, and it hurts my feelings. My feelings get hurt. If you guys need a referral, make sure you reach out to my website. It's KristinaSmallhorn.com. And I know the moderators have put my link to the website out there several times, and I appreciate you doing that. Look at that. Eddie already pulled it up for me. Yep, there I am. You just hit any of those buttons. You hit any button on that screen, it will take you to the referral page, and it will let you know that you can just, contact me. Make sure you put your phone number there because I will call you. We'll have a discussion about your real estate needs. I'd like having conversations with all you guys. Just fill it out. Fill out the form, and it will. Eddie's having a hard time. Oh, are you clicking it or are you just flashing it? I think he was trying to act like he's an animator. There it is. Book a time with me. Looking for a referral. And then sure enough, there it is. You fill it out. Please fill out the phone number, because I want to talk to you guys. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic week. If anything exciting happens in the real estate world, like, it's all imploding, I will let you know. I will be the first one to, I'll just jump right on a live stream again. The real estate market's crashing. I'll let you know immediately. Bye, everybody. Oh, you guys gonna dance? Can you dance your way out of there? Oh, this is chill, Eddie. Eddie made us chill. Chilling like a villain. Yeah. Ooh. Having a great week. We're gonna have a great week. Yeah.